"Can we sit here?" the homeless woman asked, and the millionaire said, "Please do." On a quiet Tuesday afternoon in late autumn, golden sunlight filtered through the bare branches of Central Park. Birds chirped softly, leaves rustled in the breeze, and the world seemed to slow down, except for Lena. Clutching her 5-year-old son Eli's small hand, Lena moved with weary determination. Her shoulders ached from carrying everything they owned in a tattered backpack. Her eyes, once bright with dreams, now held the quiet exhaustion of someone who'd been knocked down one too many times. She hadn't eaten in nearly 24 hours, but Eli had, thanks to a kind stranger at a soup kitchen who'd slipped him an extra sandwich. Spotting an empty bench beneath a maple tree, Lena paused. A man in a tailored coat sat at one end, scrolling through his phone. He looked polished, powerful. Even from a distance, his presence radiated success. Her heart pounded. Should I ask? She didn't want to be a burden, but Eli was shivering in his thin jacket, and her legs felt like they might give out. Gathering every ounce of courage, Lena stepped forward. "Excuse me, sir," she said softly. "Can we sit here?" The man looked up, eyes warm, not judgmental. Without hesitation, he shifted to make space and smiled gently. "Of course," he said. "Please do." That simple invitation, those 3 words, would change everything. His name was Michael Reynolds, CEO of a national bakery chain. At 42, he owned luxury cars, penthouses, and boardrooms in 3 major cities. But as he watched Lena carefully guide Eli onto the bench, tucking the boy's scarf tighter around his neck, Michael saw something familiar. Not just poverty, but dignity, resilience. "Thank you," Lena whispered, lowering herself beside her son. Michael nodded. "You're very welcome." After a beat, he asked, "Would you like something to eat? There's a deli just around the corner." Lena hesitated, pride warring with hunger. But Eli's stomach growled loudly, and she relented with a quiet, "Yes, please." Over warm sandwiches and hot chocolate, Lena shared her story. She'd worked at a local bakery for 10 years, kneading dough before sunrise, decorating cakes with love, knowing every customer by name. Then the shop closed suddenly, and with no savings and rising rent, she lost her apartment. Nights were spent in shelters, days searching for work that never came. But even in the hardest moments, she baked. In borrowed kitchens, on camp stoves, even once in a church kitchen. Always for Eli, always with joy. Michael listened intently, because her story echoed his own. 20 years ago, he'd slept in his car after losing his first job. He remembered the shame, the cold, the fear that no one would ever see his worth. He started his first bakery with $200, selling cinnamon rolls outside a subway station. "People didn't just buy my pastries, they bought into the hope behind them," he told her. "You still have that hope." Tears welled in her eyes. No one had spoken to her like that in years. 2 days later, Lena walked into Reynolds' Hearth, one of Michael's flagship bakeries, wearing clean clothes donated by a shelter and holding Eli's hand. Michael greeted her personally. "We have an opening for a pastry assistant. Would you like to try?" She nodded, hands trembling, not from fear, but possibility. The first week was rocky. Her hands were stiff from the cold, her confidence fragile. But the moment she touched dough, it was like coming home. Within days, customers began asking for the lady with the chocolate croissants. Within a month, her sourdough loaf sold out by 9 a.m. Michael watched in quiet awe. This wasn't just skill, it was soul. 6 months later, Lena stood in the doorway of a bright, sunlit apartment, Eli's tiny shoes lined neatly by the door. He started preschool that Monday, wearing a brand new backpack and carrying a lunchbox filled with her homemade banana bread. And on a crisp Saturday morning, Michael offered her something even greater. "I'd like you to manage this bakery," he said. "You've brought more heart to this place than I ever could." Lena didn't just say yes. She hugged him, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You gave us a second chance," she whispered. "No," he replied gently. "You walked through the door I held open. That took courage." Years later, they still meet on that same park bench, now not as strangers, but as friends. Eli, now in elementary school, calls Michael Uncle Mike. And every holiday season, the bakery hosts a second chance kitchen, feeding hundreds of families in need. Michael often says, "I thought I was giving Lena a job, but she gave me back my humanity." And Lena? She tells Eli every night, kindness isn't just something you receive, it's something you pass on. So, if this story moved you, if you believe in compassion, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen when we simply say, "Please do," then please like, share, and subscribe to ACA Story Tales. Your support doesn't just help us create more emotional stories, it helps spread hope to millions who need it most. Because sometimes, all it takes is one bench, one question, and one open heart to change a life.